So welcome, KZOOMers.
KZOOMers, yay.
There even might be some boomer KZOOMers.
Some boomer KZOOMers as well as
maybe some
Other
other
generations.
consumers too. We come to this very special time in the cycle of things that we're actually right in the middle of the Torah in Leviticus and Kedoshim, and we are also right in the middle of the Omer counting in that. Well, here it's Netzach Sheva Netzach. We're right in the center of it, and we're also come to the center of Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, in the cycle that we are immersing ourselves in, and it is also it's also Earth Day.
Yay! Started. That was one of the good things out of the hippie generation. One of the good things we did.
Earth Day that I celebrated by going to the San Diego Zoo today to connect myself with a lot of different beings that exist and from different places, and feeling myself as one of those creatures. So at this point in Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, in that cycle, we come to chapter 5, and I want to begin with a phrase from that first verse, which is right in the center. And when I think about coming to the center of Torah, we're also coming to the place at the center of the Torah that says, "V'ahavta lirecha kamocha." You shall love your neighbor as yourself. That's at the center of it. That's really the core of Torah, and so we enter into the very heart of Torah, and enter into the heart of Shir HaShirim, and there we find this line that says, "Feast, friends, and drink till you are drunk with love." Or some translations say, just drink deeply of love. And so that place in the Torah where we are, "V'ahavta lirecha kamocha," to love your neighbor, it's a place not just of obligation, but of pleasure, a kind of a sense of entering into the deliciousness and that goes to Ellen. We have to change the thing.
Yeah.
The delicious, the deliciousness. The reason that why we're here, the enjoyment of each moment. And when I say, there's a question that I put to myself, which is, can I enjoy each moment? Can I take it in? Can that blessing of life enter me? And if it doesn't, why not? To really question that. The question for contemplation this week: can I really take in the simple pleasures as gifts to be unwrapped by my enjoyment, passion, and enthusiasm? Then can I pause and savor and be nurtured and intoxicated with the possibilities that open up before me each moment? And the drunkenness, that intoxication, is really kind of the code word for expanded consciousness and a sense of arousal, a receptivity to the divine flow. So when I say feast, friends, and I'm also, whatever I receive, I want to offer up. And I think that's one of the key kind of, it's like important rules of ecstatic practice, is we don't keep hoarding the pleasure. You know, we don't sort of gather it in and just hold on to it like that. You know, because you got to let it go in the moment it comes. And the way that you let it go is through generosity, that you offer it up. And you offer it, you know, it's like, oh, when you say feast, you're offering it to everybody else. Here's this moment of pleasure.
It's yummy, it's good, delicious. Here, you too, partake.
Yes, there's enough, then a sense of enoughness, abundance, overflow that we want to be able to be expressing through our presence, through our voice, through our practice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been practicing this chant all week to see what's there, and I'm looking forward to entering into it with you. And as we chant it, it's really, you know, I invite you to taste the simplest of pleasures, the pleasure of melody, you know, the pleasure of rhythm, the pleasure of making a sound, of feeling these delicious words in your mouth. And it is a 2-part round, and which we'll do, and you can play with that as well. And
Come with the drum?
I think maybe not.
Okay.
So let's try this. Let's go to the feast, to go to the holy feasts. Take it in and offer it up. Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, 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 Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim, Ichlu reim,
Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, 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 Shikru Reim, Shikru Reim, Shikru Reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, Shikru Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Shatu v'shikru dodim, 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 Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu Reim, Ichlu
So in the silence, let that sense of feasting lift you up into a place of generosity. Sometimes when I'm chanting, I get so intoxicated that I think that the chant is going to keep going, that, I'm being chanted. And then I remember, I still have to keep moving my mouth. I still have to do it. It feels like it's doing me, but then
sometimes
if
I forget I'm
surrender too much,
chanting.
Then the chant stops.
No sound will come out.
So in this feast here that we have, there are impediments sometimes to taking it in, and some of those impediments, when I look at this feast before us, I have a lot of preferences. I like this and I don't like this. This tastes good and this doesn't taste as good, and so there's a kind of a place in me that just says no, or pulls away from the world. And I had this wonderful experience this past week that my friend Jana Steinberg, who's a novelist and an amazing writer, lives here in San Diego. She wanted me to meet this African-American elder poet who lived near me, because she said, Shefra, you and Mary Lennox are the two people who I know who love God the most. Can I bring you together?
Combustion, spiritual combustion.
So we sat on the porch, and I chanted for her, and she read me a poem that she had written, and I said, "Oh, I have to read that poem to my students," and it's really it's in the spirit of yes. It's so in the spirit of yes. And I think the name of it is Welcome, but it might be the first line. Welcome. I knocked on the door of life, waiting for it to let me in, not realizing that it was already open, waiting for me to enter, to bloom into the one I've become. Seeing the sun looking at me, I began to see with my inner vision the light of love welcoming me into life. I discovered my gifts as I walked the shores of lakes, bays, sea. Each dawn I rise and answer the call of fresh blessings. Here, there, everywhere, ever grateful to say yes to the spirit of life.
Wow. Wow. That's perfect.
So that's what I want to do, is say yes to the spirit of life. And to meet it is published in her book, which is called Riches of Life, Selected Poems, Mary Lennox. So
is it published so we can come back to it?
Yeah.
It's published.
Yeah, I can set it. You have to change it to. Oops.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, I wanna be inspired by that poem to be able to find my yes to life, and in order to do that, I have to sort of notice that kind of the knee-jerk no in me, the part of me that pushes things away, that kind of lacks curiosity, that has some sense of aversion, and it's kind of sometimes just a habit or a place of defensiveness that makes me not, walk through the door that Mary is talking about. And so I want to be working with that place in me, and what I find is often when I get startled, my heart closes, and I need a practice to calm myself down on the inside in order for that yes to life to be able to manifest. And so these words, v'ruach nachon chadaysh b'kirbi, they calm my heart. They allow the no to calm down inside me, and the reactivity to calm down, and something else to emerge, which is that spirit of yes. So I invite you to just to notice those places where there's the reactivity, the no to the world, and let this chant just come, settle your hearts. V'ruach nachon chadaysh b'kirbi, v'ruach nachon chadaysh b'kirbi, v'ruach nachon chadaysh chadaysh b'kirbi v'ruach nachon 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 chadaysh b'kirbi. Chant it once more, and this time I invite you to put your hand on your heart and let that spirit of yes just kind of dissolve some of your defenses. chadaysh nachon chadaysh chadaysh As you close your eyes and bring your attention to the breath, breathing into the heart, calming those places of no in the heart, letting them settle into a radical acceptance of what is. Feeling that holy feast that we share of life itself, the horrible and the wonderful, all of it. And in the book of Leviticus, there's all these kind of teachings about the korbanot, the offerings in the temple. And most of the offerings were, when there was a sacrifice, it was followed by a ceremony that was a sharing of a feast. That which was sacrificed was, that turned into a shared feast between the priests and the people and God. And a sense that the divine, that we are sitting down with God at this great table of life and with each other and sharing it with each other. And it kind of, we haven't since the pandemic, we haven't had an oneg. After services, we don't really go to the oneg and share that feast, and I think when we do, there may be a possibility of seeing it as holy. I used to sort of like want to run away, like, oh no, not the oneg, just because of
being an introvert.
And also, after services, I feel still like so open that I don't really want to do small talk. But what if each oneg could be like the holy feast of feeling God's presence there with us in that time of the feasting? It would be kind of different. So when we come before the feast, there always is this kind of, possibility, that eating is something that always, there's always some problems around eating. We all have some kind of eating disorder. And so I like to tell this story about this practice coming up that I call mindfulness. And it's also in answer to a question that came on the KZOOM list. Ask, I think it was under either that or it was like, how do we have a feast and still be kind of boundaried and disciplined. And this was on the day of Gavura. How do we still feast with that sense of that lifted up sense of having our discipline and our boundaries intact? So I like to tell the story that I in the days when I used to put on retreats all the time,
I remember.
I would really want to try to get the food thing right, because every time I would try to get the cook to set up the menu and have a place, and
because as you know, the whole week centers around the food. I mean, that's the center of it.
And afterwards there was always complaints. The food was too this or too that, and I didn't have enough of this, not enough protein, not enough whatever carb, whatever it was, and I would just be, I could never get it right. And then finally I found this retreat center in Santa Fe that had like amazing food,
Santa Fe gourmet style,
in like such great abundance and variety that there was something for everyone, and it was beautifully laid out, yes. And there was this great feast every single meal, and there was dessert, not just one dessert, but 5 different desserts. Yeah. It was like, wow, nobody's going to complain now. And I remember that, after the first day, people walking into the dining room, and I noticed that there was like this level of anxiety that came up, and I'm like, what is going on here?
What are you going to complain about now?
And actually, it was, I turned to Kani Naharit, may her memory be a blessing. And I said, what's wrong? And she looked at me and she said, we're all afraid we're going to eat too much.
It looks so good.
So it just happened to be that week the Haftorah had these words in it. The Haftarah had these words that said, Shim'u shamoah, aylai Ichlu tov. And that said, if you really listen to me, if you are in a state of mindfulness, if you are listening, and listening is the core value of Judaism. If you are really, you can see that word Shema in there, right? If you're really listening, then what you eat is going to be good. And the next line says, and your souls will delight in richness. Your souls will sit down at that holy feast. But you really need to raise your consciousness in order to come to that holy feast and to be in a state of awareness.
Every moment, yeah.
And so, awareness is noticing when you're full, and being able to be guided to exactly the right foods, and not just foods, but everything in life that we take in
the right amount.
In the right amount, so that it will delight your soul. So I want to really to bring this practice to our holy feasting at this center place of Torah, this place of love, and also this place of Earth Day, because the reason that the earth is in so much danger is because we don't know what's enough. There's a sense of like more. And if there was an awareness of what enough tasted like, we wouldn't be in this place of overconsumption. So I want to dedicate this practice to being an earthling in a way that is both responsible and a sense of enoughness and delight. You want to shoot it?
Oh, sure.
soft if we can. Shim'u, shamoah,
aylai.
Okay, wait, before we start, let's just close our eyes and feel in front of us the holy feast of our lives. All of this deliciousness, all of this goodness. And I like to remember there's this line in the Talmud that says, you will be held accountable. After you die, you will be held accountable for all the pleasures you were allowed to have, but you didn't partake.
Yeah.
That that it's incumbent upon us to actually receive the goodness of our lives, and that is a discipline that I like to take on.
Yes, indeed. I will join you on that path. I have joined you on that path.
That's why we're together, huh?
Yeah.
Shim'u, shamoah, aylai.
Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Shim'u, shamoah, aylai. Ichlu, Ichlu, Shim'u, shamoah, Grateful, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Grateful, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Shim'u, Shema, aylai, Grateful.
Let's take a moment to listen. Listen into ourselves. So there's a sense that that God wants to bless us, wants to pour blessing into us all the time, but only we receive it only to the extent that we are open to receive it.
Open and have room. Or not filled
capacity, up. And so building that capacity for receptivity, this is a practice of filling up with the joys of presence. And what I find the greatest impediment for me in filling up is that the pace of my life, that I tend to rev up. I don't pause enough, and that's kind of the big lesson is those really essential deep pauses that I can take when I see something beautiful, which is often I'm seeing beauty that I pass by without filling myself up with it, and it's kind of because I'm moving on to the next. Oh yeah, that's nice. Now what else is there on the plate? And so
thank God for Shabbat. At least one day a week that we'll pause, but more often.
And so to build that into our practice, to really establish a rhythm that has in it a lot of pause, a lot of filling up time. And I find also there's a way when I do this practice, sometimes I do it as a dance where we're filling up with God's presence in each other's faces, So, maybe before we begin the practice, we could look around the Zoom room and kind of fill up with the divine presence in the faces that are here. Some of the faces very familiar now. And anybody who wants to show their beautiful face here.
I'm so happy to see Maxine with her grandchild. Wow.
Yeah.
You are just in heaven. Talk about feasting.
Feasting, yes. So the word Sova, it has to do with filling up. It has to do with satisfaction, and really taking it in, allowing that satisfaction to happen, that satiation to happen, so that so that feast of life can, that we can sit at the feast and really enjoy each moment, and then share that enjoyment with others, because I think it's kind of contagious, when you're enjoying that. Then, sometimes when I'm with someone who is seeing something, then it opens my eyes as well to what they're seeing. So, and that's a lot of times why we make art, is so that we can open our eyes, or do photography so that we can see something and show it to others.
Something that fills us
and
with
often
delight.
when I do a painting, it's often because there's a moment. You want to show my painting?
Yeah.
There's a moment that is like a special moment that you want to lift up. This was a moment when I met a little sea lion pup on the beach. There's my moment of actually saved life of this little sea lion that came up on the beach in front of me.
She and a friend called SeaWorld, and they came
and rescued
after several hours.
But then I thought, okay, I need to make a painting of the moment, because the moment was so beautiful, so powerful. So I want to, and the moment is gone, but I can still fill myself up with it through the memory of it, through that expression of it. So let's take it in, take in the beauty of our lives. Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, smachot, et panecha, Sova, 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 smachot,
Sova, 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 smachot, et panecha. Sova, smachot, et panecha.
The last time, let's open our eyes and look at the faces that are here, to take in God's presence through each other.
Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, 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 smachot, Sova, smachot, et panecha. Sova, smachot, et panecha.
So may that sense of fullness lead to overflow. May the world benefit from that overflow.
Yeah.
That's what the world gets, your overflow. Yeah. And so the idea is that when we're always filling up, we don't burn out. Because whatever we give is the overflow of that fullness. That's how I like it. So I wanted to end with this practice of gratefulness, but that says Odach, I will thank you as long as the divine breath is in me. So when you connect that sense of the divine breath in us, that each moment, each breath is an opportunity for celebration, gratefulness. Before we do this practice, I'll just say that the next week there's no KZOOM.
No KZOOM next week.
Let's have a together and okay.
But we'll be on our way home to New Mexico from San Diego.
We're going to be traveling next week, and then we'll be KZOOMing from New Mexico after that.
First Thursday in May.
Yeah, and just to let you know that on the first Sunday in May, there's a couple things happening that I am going to be giving the invocation at the first Jewish Psychedelic Summit. And I'm going to be on a panel that they call the Psychedelic Rabbi Panel.
That's my honey. That's my honeybee.
And I'm also teaching a workshop on opening to revelation in a community in Ashland. Maybe there's some people from Ashland here. Mm-hmm. So either of those, you can find them on my website. And then after that, I will be seeing you at the following KZOOM, and that'll be in May.
Wow.
So yeah, from back to New Mexico. So we'll end with this chant, and then those who need to leave can leave, and then we'll take 10 minutes just to be in breakout groups, to reflect on our practice and to and to meet each other, and then I'll call you back after that. So it's always good. It's kind of like the oneg afterwards, that time of
Yeah.
a little time of reflection at the end of our practice. So we'll sing Odach, and then I'll send you into your 10-minute breakthrough groups. Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי.
Odach,
בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, Odach, בעוד תהיה נשמת אלוה בי. Odach, 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 Odach. So I want to thank you for your practice, and also remind you to go to the website, give a little donation. If everybody gives a little donation,
so much.
that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And I must